Welcome, fight fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for this week's edition of the Fight Report Weekend Preview with Hanson Crafton. This weekend, Hanson, is all about UFC 320, and it's a big one, isn't it?
Yes, it is. 2 title fights and a really good lead-up fight.
And it's the light heavyweight championship, of course. Magomed Ankalaev against Alex Pereira. A rematch of UFC 313, where Ankalaev won the title by unanimous decision. Should be a good one again, shouldn't it?
Pereira's a big fan favorite. A lot of people will be tuned into this. Ankalaev's been dominant in his run since being in the UFC. So it's two of the right guys. It's two of the best fighters at 205 fighting for the belt. So they have the right guys here. It is a rematch. So it's a real interesting, real good fight. I know Pereira came out and said he was only 40% in his last fight, but everybody's going to say that in a fight they lose, especially in MMA. Nobody really goes into fights 100%, but it still is very interesting, and it's a really good card, so it'll make for a real fun night of some fights.
And that Bantamweight championship is Merab Dvalishvili against Cory Sandhagen. But let's start with the light heavyweight championship, a rematch. Remind the listeners what happened the first time, Hanson.
The first fight, it was real interesting. Ankalaev has a huge advantage, you would think, wrestling-wise and on the ground with his ground game. But he chose to stand with Pereira the whole time. Now, he is a guy who does have good stand-up. He's 21-1 overall. He does have 11 knockouts, and he's got 6 in the first round. So he is a guy who can stand up. He's got good power in his hands. More of a one-punch guy. He's got big power in his right hand. But he does have a decent stand-up for a Dagestani wrestler. He's got good stand-up. He went on a streak where he had a few knockouts in a row. I think at one point he had three knockouts in 4 fight span. His last 2 fights have been decision, but he did get a stoppage before that. So he is a guy that can stand with him. He's still with him the whole fight. Ended up winning a unanimous decision on the feet. So makes this fight interesting because, like I said, he would have the advantage on the ground. You would think he would almost be willing to take the fight there, but he won the first fight on his feet. So now it's kind of like he probably thinks he can win either way, so he can mix up a little bit more, and it's got to be in Pereira's head a little bit, knowing he lost last time in pretty much a kickboxing fight.
So then what's the answer for Pereira?
I don't know. Pereira is very good stand-up. He's got power in both hands and feet. He's 12-3. He's got 10 knockouts of his 12 wins and 4 in the first round. You would think he had the advantage on the feet, but like I said, Ankalaev wasn't afraid to stand with him last fight, still with him the whole fight. Now, he did clinch a lot, kind of put him against the cage, seemed to wear him out a little bit. But like I said, he won the stand-up portion of the fight.
Yeah, none of it worked because he lost.
Yeah, Pereira's going to have to try to land a big shot. Now, I know Ankalaev has been susceptible to leg kicks in the past. He had a fight that went to a draw. And the other guy was real successful with leg kicks, especially low leg kicks. Pereira is a guy who does throw good leg kicks. He's got good power in his kicks. So that's something that he could look to do to change the fortune of this fight. But I think he's going to have to do that. He'll want to get those leg kicks going. I think that'll give him his best shot to land something hard upstairs with his hands and maybe win the fight or change the fight. But if not, if it goes like the first fight, I can see Ankalaev winning this fight. I actually think Ankalaev wins this fight again. He just has more ways to win, and I think he's just got the better advantages, especially with him being willing and being the better stand-up fighter last time they fought.
You think he changes his approach this time?
I think he does. I mean, he's already proved that he can stand with the guy, so I think he goes in this time and he just wins the fight. I think he probably does use his wrestling a little bit more. Like I said, he's a Dagestani. He's got really good wrestling, especially for the 205 weight division where you don't really have many dominant wrestlers. I think he goes in, uses his wrestling. I think this fight's probably a little bit easier for him.
Yeah, clearly you're taking Ankalaev. It was obvious. Even before you said it, I was like, well, clearly you're taking him. I think you're expecting a stoppage of some kind this time.
Yeah, I think he will stop him. Pereira has been stopped on his feet Adesanya stopped him when they fought the second time or the third time they fought. He was stopped by Adesanya. I could see him get stopped there, but I think Ankalaev will get it to the ground where he, like I said, he has a huge advantage there, and I think he wins the fight there on the ground. It is a dangerous game standing with Pereira. At one point, he had 5 knockouts in a row. Um, he was unbeaten at 205 pounds. He had 4 knockouts in his 5 fights at 205 pounds. So he is a dangerous guy on his feet. So I think Ankalaev is just going to take him to the ground where he does have the big advantage of the two, and I think that's where he gets the fight done at.
Before we move on with the undercard, Hanson, just want to mention that UFC 320 is scheduled for T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. Prelims start at 8 o'clock. The main card is at 10, and it is on pay-per-view. It's going away, but it's not yet.
Yeah, I think we got the rest of this year on ESPN pay-per-view, and then it changes.
Let's look at the undercard, and the obvious headline of the undercard is Dvalishvili and Sandhagen, and the obvious star of that one is Dvalishvili. Sandhagen going to have anything for him?
I don't think so. Merab, his nickname is the Machine, and he's every bit of it. He's a guy that he just does not get tired. He's got one of the best, probably the best cardio I've ever seen in mixed martial arts. He could just go literally all night. He doesn't seem to get tired in any type of fight, whether it's fast paced, 3 rounds, 5 rounds. He can go with anybody. He's on a 13-fight win streak. He's been very active. He's fought. This will be his 3rd fight in the calendar year. He's already fought twice. He stopped O'Malley in June, and then he fought in January. He's just, like I said, he's a machine. He's very good on the ground. He's got really good wrestling. He fought Henry Cejudo, who was an Olympic gold medalist, and he out-wrestled him. He's got great wrestling for MMA, and like I said, his cardio allows him to just continue to try to take guys down, even if the first shot gets stopped. He can keep going. He can chain wrestle really well. I think he's at the peak right now, and I just think he's going to be too much for Sandhagen. You know, Sandhagen is a guy who's got 5 losses on his record. He has struggled with wrestlers. He did win his last fight. I think he fought in May. He knocked out Davison Figueiredo, but he did lose to Umar Nurmagomedov in August. And Umar's a guy who Dvalishvili beat in his second title defense. So, and I think Merab's got a couple other guys that he's beat that Cory Sandhagen's lost to. I think Sandhagen is susceptible to the takedown, and I think that's going to be an easy path for Merab. Like I said, I think he's got some of the best cardio, some of the best wrestling in the division, and I think that'll be Sandhagen's downfall.
You agree with Dana White that Dvalishvili is the greatest bantamweight of all time?
It's hard to argue it. He's got a really good resume. He's beat some of the guys who everybody said was the best. You know, Aldo, at one point, they thought he was the best. He's beat Aldo. He's beat Figueiredo. He beat Jan. And he's beat Umar, who people thought was going to give him his toughest fight. Now, I know a lot of people, O'Malley's a big fan favorite, but I don't think O'Malley's as good as a fighter as some of these other guys, but he has beat O'Malley twice. So I think he really is. Like I said, plus his skill set. To have his cardio, to be able to put on his pace with his wrestling, you have to be able to stop the takedown. You got to be able to stop the takedown for 25 minutes because he will just shoot. I think when he fought Jan, he set the record for the most takedown attempts in a fight, and he just stayed on him. Even if Jan stopped a couple, he was able to put a couple more there in him and get him down. And once he gets you down, he can keep you there. In his last fight with O'Malley, he did submit him, so he is getting better with his submissions. But he's got really good top game, really good control. And like I said, I think his wrestling is just going to be too much for Sandhagen in this fight. And I think his wrestling is what carries him to his elite status.
Of course, the main event is a light heavyweight fight, but it's not the only big light heavyweight fight on the card.
You got a real fan favorite in the lead to the 2 title fights with Yuri Prochazka and Khalil Roundtree Jr. Both of these guys are coming off wins. They've kind of fought the same guys the last year. They both just beat Jamal Hill. Prohaska did knock out Jamal. Roundtree dominated him for 5 rounds in their last fight. And they both have losses to Alex Pereira. They've both been stopped by Alex Pereira. But both of these guys are looking to get another title shot. I think a dominant win for either one of these guys will get them a title shot, regardless of who wins. I think if Ankalaev wins, Yuri's probably more likely to get a title shot if he wins. If Pereira wins, maybe not Yuri because he has lost to Pereira twice. Both times he's been knocked out by Pereira. So, but if Roundtree wins, I think Roundtree would face either one of them, no matter who wins the title fight. So this is a real interesting fight. It's a don't blink type fight. Both these guys are finishers. You know, Yuri's 31-5, and he's got 27 knockouts, 23 in the first round. Roundtree's 15-6 with 9 knockouts, 7 in the first round. So this one's not going the distance. Somebody's going to go to sleep on this in this fight, possibly within the first 2 rounds. So it's a real exciting fight to kind of lead into the two title fights. There's some good fights. I think the Josh Emmett fight is good. Yusuf Zal is a really big favorite, but Josh Emmett's one of those guys, you know, with 4-ounce gloves, he can put anybody's lights out. So he's a dangerous underdog. I know he's plus 330 right now, but he is a guy who does have huge knockout power in both hands. And he's also a guy who's been down in fights and got a late knockout to win fights. So he's always dangerous, especially in a 3-round fight. Like I said, with those 4-ounce gloves. Um, anything can happen with a guy like Josh Emmett in there. So that's a very exciting fight. And that's the four main fights on this card are really good fights, especially fan favorite fights. So it's a solid card this weekend.
Been a little bit of a downtime in the fight season the last few weeks after a big couple of weekends, huge weekends.
Yeah.
But it kind of this weekend it's really just this, but it's good to have UFC back. All right, sorry. It's what do you call that main event? What do you UFC 320? How would you categorize that?
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Okay, I got it. It's really all the fighting there is this weekend, but it is a big one.
Yeah, it's a really big card. Like I said, a lot of fun fights on that one. Not really much going on in boxing, but boxing does have a November. Once November gets here, you will start seeing some really good boxing.
That was what I was going to bring up next.
Yeah, the first big card is November 11th. Maybe 11th or a week after that, but that's a loaded card. I don't know where they're fighting. They hadn't really announced it. I know it's on the Zone, but that's a really big one. David Benavidez is on there. Better Bees is on there. Devin Haney's on there. So they got a really nice card planned coming up in November. And then after that, you've got, of course, Inoue in December. And then going into next year, have some really good fights. So it looks like the Benavidez card is November 22nd. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia, and it's just loaded. I mean, you got 4 title fights, and then you got Abdullah Mason starting the card off. Jesse Rodriguez defending his belt. Brian Norman Jr. coming off a huge knockouts fighting Devin Haney for Devin Haney's belt. Then you've got Beterbiev bouncing back from the Bivol fight. And then you've got, of course, David Benavidez against Anthony Yarde. So huge card in November for boxing. And then, like I said, leading into December, which is going to have a couple big fights in that. So boxing will pick back up in a month or so. But yeah, for right now, the UFC, it's all we got. But it's a really good card, especially a fan favorite type card this weekend.
And potential Joshua Wilder fight in the works.
It's a fight that we probably should have got a couple years ago, but I think it's exciting anytime. It's still going to be an interesting fight with those two.
Yeah, 2 really big punchers who I wouldn't say that Deontay Wilder was disappointing. In fact, he probably way outperformed his abilities and skills.
Oh, for sure. He definitely outperformed. You know, he's a guy that in certain times probably never would have sniffed the heavyweight title. So to be able to do what he did was really impressive, especially with his skill set. He was always kind of a sloppy boxer, but he just had such power in his right hand that he was just, he's unbeatable against certain guys because of that power, because certain guys couldn't get off the mat. And then Joshua was a guy who was a skilled fighter. He was an Olympian. He just had a lot of holes in his game. When he fought certain guys, he was beatable.
Yeah.
But they were once two of the top guys of the division, so it'll still be an interesting fight whenever they do fight.
I still like watching both of them fight. I've kind of given up on Anthony Joshua, but I really have. I really do like watching both of those guys, and I love the heavyweight division. I know
Yeah.
it's not been very good. We pray that it's going to be good again. It might be good again pretty soon from what we're seeing, but even your guy Usyk, not real exciting.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, it's not really the best right now. Hopefully it does get better, but it's still always fun to watch some of these guys fight, like Joshua and Wilder. If Fury was to come back, I'm sure he would still draw a crowd as well. But
Still can't believe
yeah.
where he got up. I still can't believe he got up.
Oh yeah, I know that Wilder fight. It was like the Undertaker.
I cannot believe it.
It was.
To this day, I see it and I think there is no way he's getting up. There's no way.
Yeah. Even knowing what happens, it's still just like you just can't. Especially with the puncher Wilder had shown to be before that.
At 6, there was the count of 6. It looked like he was done.
And he just opened his eyes and set up.
And then survived a flurry and then kind of made his legend right then and there.
Yeah, I mean, he arguably won the next 2 rounds.
Yeah, he for sure won. He won the fight with those last 2 rounds.
Yeah, I thought
it was just amazing.
Yeah.
After taking the hardest punch, one of the hardest punches I've ever seen.
Yeah, and then in their last fight, he got drilled in the temple with that one. He just couldn't he lost his legs, but somehow he was able to ride it out and then get his legs back under him and end up stopping Wilder.
Yeah, and I always want him to lose too. I don't like bullies. He's a bully.
Yeah, but he can fight.
Yeah, he can. Hanson, thanks so much.
No problem. Thank you.
Hey, join us later today for our reaction to the Purdue-Illinois football game, and on Sunday for our reaction to the Colts and Raiders. Thanks so much for listening. Please share this podcast with a fight fan in your life. Help us spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media, and I love Susie.